goes right through. Puts on the step again. Oh, goes Freddie. That was magnificent stuff.
Alrighty, welcome back. It's the Advantage Line 2022 edition. I'm back, your host, Paul Moati, and I'm joined by a couple of, well, I don't know, would you call them middle forwards? No, Carl looks more like an outside back for mine. So Carl Tiley, how are you?
Good, Paul. Thank you. I might have used the word battler instead of. I mean, I'll take outside back. I was an outside back, and the other code we won't talk about that.
No, we don't talk about that. Not here.
But yeah, I'm happy with that. Pumped for a big season of footy. Pumped for a big season of the Advantage Line, and yeah, can't wait to rip in.
Fantastic. And we are also joined by. Is it cruel to call someone a utility? I don't know. I use it as a term of endearment, and I certainly mean that when we talk about Blake Ashford.
Thanks, mate. I don't mind it at all. I'll be using it quite a lot this year, I think. You know, maybe not today as we look over some of the teams, but good to be back, boys. Obviously enjoyed myself. I have moved into the front row after a big off season of no training and plenty of beers and food. So it's good to be back for 2022. Got another start.
So, that's good. At least two of us are in the forward pack and the other boys out the back, scoring all the tries. I noticed in the background there, Blake, an old Steve. How old's that Steeden?
Quite old. It's New Zealand Kiwis Steeden. So we're talking, or on it, it says established 1958. So if you want to go that far back, 1958. But no, I think maybe 1 or 2 years. I think it might have the boys' name or initial on it somewhere. No signatures though.
Oh, Roger. I guess we should talk about we're missing someone.
We are.
We're missing our good friend Fisky.
Yep.
Who is out now. He's on the transfer market. I guess we could say he's looking for a new club.
Yeah, and not because of any subpar performance.
Oh no, certainly not. I mean, he was the star of the show.
Yeah. Well. I mean, I like to think, no, I'm kidding.
Fair income. The only person the listeners actually asked for is Fisky on this week. Fisky on this week.
I know.
It's a sad day for me because obviously Tigers fan as I am myself, and you know we sort of cried on each other's shoulders many times, me and Fisky, and now who have I got to lean on? No one. So
exactly,
it's going to be a tough year.
And I don't see a hell of a lot of improvement, but we'll get back. We'll get to the Tigers later on in this show. But
just quickly on Fisky, if you want to give him a follow on Twitter, he's doing a countdown to the start of NRL season, and every day is a new number. Obviously, I think the last I saw was a couple of days ago. 33 days to go.
It's 30 days today.
There you go, 30 days today, and he'll have on his Twitter something to do with scores, total scores ending in 30, and all the stats around that.
And his favourite memory.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, have a little follow of Fisky on Twitter, because every day he'll have a new one. Today,
I can't wait until number one.
Yeah,
I don't think there's ever been a game.
What, 1-0?
1-0, yeah.
I don't know.
There probably has, maybe.
There was that.
I need to find out now.
There was that Dragons, might have been a Bulldogs game, I think, out at Wollongong it was a night game, and it was absolutely hosing down. In the end, I think it finished 10-2 or something like that, but it was 0-0 for a good portion of the game before someone slid over for a try. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what Fisky does with when he gets to 1 day out from the start of the NRL season. So I'd like to thank Fisky for all his help and contribution to the Advantage Line. Fair dinkum champion.
Yep. Great man.
Right, so I guess we're going to start this season by previewing all of the team. Yeah.
Hang on, I found out.
A 1-0?
Just going back to the fewest points scored in a game, there is a 1-0.
There we go.
Newtown versus the Dragons in 1973. Newtown won 1-0.
Gee,
I didn't even know they had field goals back then. 1-0.
And then Newtown versus Eastern Suburbs in 1914. Newtown won 2-0.
So now that's where I would have expected like a very low scoring game.
And believe it or not, Newtown's been involved in a 0 game too. In 82 against the Dogs.
Fun to watch, Newtown.
Huge.
Right. So
sorry, carry on.
Yeah, back to business. We're going to preview every team. We'll do 4 teams every episode in the lead up to the start of the season. And then when the season proper starts, we'll get into the normal rhythm of things and have a look at sort of news, events that are happening, betting, because we are a betting podcast.
Yes.
So this week, we're going in reverse order from last season. So we're starting at the bottom of the table and we're working our way up. So the 4 teams that we'll be looking at today, unfortunately for Blake, one of them is the Tigers. We're going to start with the Wooden Spooners from last season, the Bulldogs, who have, well, in the 80s, had all sorts of success, picking up multiple premierships, but they have fallen on harder times. But if there's a team that will look nothing like the team that ran out the season before, I think you'd have to say it's the Bulldogs. They have had a lot of movement. They've picked up a number of key signings. I won't go through them now, but Carl, how do you see the Bulldogs? I mean, overall, how do you see them faring as opposed to this year? Are they a wooden spoon prospect again?
I don't think so. They've recruited incredibly well. I've listened to a few podcasts, done a bit of research on this, and there's been a bit of chat. Could this possibly be the best recruitment drive we've ever seen? If you would have said sort of 12 months ago, who would recruit better, the Redcliffe Dolphins coming into the comp next year or the Bulldogs, your money's probably going on Redcliffe with Wayne Bennett at the helm. But you'd have to argue the Doggies have gotten very fast, and it could be the Phil Gould effect. They've picked up some big names. What do you reckon, Blake?
Yeah, I think as soon as Burton signed before the year, and then we got to see how classy he is as a player, I think then the signatures just spoke for themselves. They'd go reach out to players, and after seeing Burton, like I said, play with that Penrith side, they knew how good he was going to be. If they started to get 1 or 2 more players like they did, I think the ripple effect just kept going. And this year, I agree with you. I don't think they're wooden spooners. I think they're too classy. Their side is got too much class in it, to be wooden spooners. Now, I don't think they're jumping into the 8, but it's just going to see how they, I suppose, handle the season, because there's going to come things where who do they go with, Flanagan or Averillo to partner Burton? Now, that's the question. You've got a couple of young players there as well. Wankam's still there. And that's going to be the thing. If they lose games, do you change the halfback and then cause disruption? I think their forward pack keeps them in and could quite possibly win a majority of their games for them. So I think they're going to be much better than last year. But yeah, looking at, the draw, I think this is going to be their question from probably about round 4 to round 9. They play Melbourne, Panthers, South Sydney, the Roosters, and the Broncos away. Not in that order, but they're the teams they're playing. So, I mean, to start the year after round 8, could it be, look, Barrett's had this team and hasn't done anything? Are we looking at a coach change already? Or are they starting to crumble and the team's imploding and, they're not there for patience? It's going to be a wait and see with them, but I do think they won't get the wooden spoon this year.
So, obviously, Burton's got one of the halves positions locked down. And as you said, it's a matter of who they decide to go with to partner up with him. I'm thinking they probably give it to Averillo because he didn't have the worst finish to last season. He showed some sparks there. I guess let's look at the number 1 jersey then. Addo Carr has said that he's very, very keen to play fullback, and he's another big signing for the Bulldogs. But they've also picked up Dufty from the Dragons. So if he's there, does he start in the number 1 jersey? Or is it Addo Carr? Because Addo Carr obviously has played the bulk of his career on the wing for the Storm. Yep. Do they go with Dufty at 1, Addo Carr on the wing to start off with? Even though Addo Carr's quite keen to be in the 1 jersey, how do you see that playing out?
I don't think so. I think Dufty's only on a 1-year deal. So obviously Addo Carr would have signed for a couple, and that could be. I think it's a wait and see. You give Dufty that first crack, and he wasn't too bad for the Dragons last year, in my opinion. I mean, he had his bad games, as everyone does, but I think a lot of the games they won were because of him. I think you start Fox on the wing, and then if things are going, like I said, not too well, then this is the question that's going to be asked. Do they put Josh Addo Carr? Because they have picked up like a Braden Burns, Brent Naden. They've got Shoop still there from last year. So, I mean, I think they start Dufty. I would start Dufty, and then we'll just play it out by ear as the season goes on.
I think you have to start Dufty, right? He's been brought in for a reason. Where else would you put him? In the halves, maybe, but then you're
already
shooting
trying
yourself in the foot with everyone else.
You're already trying to find a combination there with the other players.
Yeah.
I would like to hear your guys' thoughts. I'd personally put now Averillo. To me, I think he's grown every game we saw him play. But to me, he's more of a running half. Now, I'd like to see behind that forward pack. I'd like to see Flanagan at the halfback role, only because I would put him on the ball and have Burton go both sides of the field and be a runner, playmaker. So Flanagan would do a lot of the organising. A lot of the just give it to Burton or run off the back of the forwards. A minimal role, but I think his goal kicking as well adds to that. So I'd probably start Flanagan. I think they're going to start Averillo though.
Right.
Yeah, I tend to agree.
With Flanagan getting a chance if Averillo doesn't. I'm thinking if Averillo has 1 or 2 bad games in a row, Flanagan goes straight in there and gets the chance.
Yeah, but then again, it's like does Barrett jump the gun there and just where you're not instilling trust in your players, and then everyone's on the hot seat, and you just got that pressure. So it's a tough one. But hey, I think do we all agree they're not going to get the wooden spoon?
I don't see them getting the spoon this season. No,
I don't. But I've just had another quick look at the draw after you said, and I could very well see them being 1-9 to the first 10.
Yeah.
And that's a win in the first round versus the Cowboys.
If they're 1-9 after the first 10, how much pressure is Barrett under?
He's gone.
Oh, yes.
Gus looking somewhere else?
I'm sure Gus will come out maybe about what we say round 6 and give the old he's safe. And I think we all know what that means.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I don't know. I've got him coming 14th on Blake Ashford's predicted ladder. 14th.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah. It's an improvement.
So you've got Dufty at the back, Addo Carr on one wing. So who takes the other one? Is it Ockenbaugh, who scored a number of tries towards the end of last season when he finally got some game time? Or Katoa, he went okay for he was filling in as well.
No, I've got Brent Naden.
Not in the centres.
No, some would have him on the centres. I've got him on the other wing. I've got Braden Burns, who's come over from the Bunnies, and I've got Shoop, who was their centre last year, big, powerful young kid. Yeah. I've got them in the centres. I think that maximises your backline with Naden on the wing, and he can also switch. And you just mentioned those other players that can come in on the wing. Yeah.
Mm.
That forward pack speaks for itself, though, doesn't it? Wow.
Oh.
Sort of sorts itself out. So Paul Vaughan coming over and grabbing one of those prop spots, and then I'm guessing Luke Thompson, the other one.
Yep.
You're starting with Jeremy Marshall in the 9.
I would. I think they would, yeah.
And then, well, Pungai Jr., obviously. And who partners him? Would it be
Vitala Mariner.
Yeah.
Would it be Vitala
If he
Mariner?
can stay healthy.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk about Raymond. They've obviously had that season ending last year, and Phil Gould's done a lot of work on, I don't know if you follow him on Twitter and Instagram and stuff like that. He's always out there posting stuff. So he's let everyone know about Raymond Vitala Mariner. So I'm hoping that he stays healthy because, I got some time with him at the Warriors when we were here my first year, and he's a real good kid. I actually seen him doing some off-season work by himself last year. So I know he puts in the work, and he'll have a huge year if he can stay fit. I think he'll partner Tavita. Yeah.
And then you'll have Josh Jackson, who's the workhorse at the back of the scrum, pretty much.
Yep.
I had a look at the team that started the final round of the regular season last year. Shoop is the only one in the back line that survives. And in the forward pack, Josh Jackson, I think, is the only one that survives from the starting 13 of that of the final round last season. So that just goes to show, first of all, not just the players that they bought, but the players that they've let go. If you have a look at it, there's a whole chunk of players that are gone now from the Bulldogs, and I think they had to make that move, sort of after the sort of, I guess, poor decisions that have been made. I mean, Nick Cottridge back to the Raiders after just a season. He was their big star signing, wasn't he? We were talking about last year, and he's gone back.
Euro Rugby League can do wonders of things, like a wooden spoon finish, getting all that money. Yeah, but hey, it would have released a lot of pressure on the Bulldogs salary cap to sign some players. So, he's sort of done his job for the Bulldogs, I think, in the end.
Roger. So you've got them finishing 14th?
I do, yes.
Carl?
Oh, I haven't picked a number yet. I haven't done a proper ladder, but I would say bottom 4. Yeah, I don't think they'll get the spoon, but I think this time next year we'll still be talking about the Bulldogs in our first episode.
I'm going to be a wee bit more optimistic with the Bulldogs. I think they'll finish 12th. I've got them winning quite a few more games than they won this season, that's for sure. But once again, a big part of it will have to do with just how Barrett molds this side together, and how much influence, or maybe how little influence he has on the team, and maybe just let these guys play their game. Give them a basic game plan, but let them express themselves. Someone like a Matt Burton, like you say, give him some sort of roving commission to slot in wherever he wants. I know we didn't really get to see him in the halves with Penrith, but you could tell the way that he slotted in wherever they put him in the centres or at fullback at times. He's got class. Oh,
mate, like we said, that forward pack and Burton behind that, his kicking game where he can kick almost the full length of the field. And we've got to forget, don't forget, Trent Barrett was assistant coach at the Penrith Panthers when Burton was there. So I think we would have seen a lot of him coming up and even at training and things like that. So he'd know, I think, what to do with Burton. And I think that forward pack will make things a lot easier on Matty Burton.
I think, though, just quickly before we move on, they are one big injury away from disaster. And that being a
Matt Burton injury.
Then they're straight back to square one and where they were last year.
He was very, very solid, though. He
must have played every game last year, just about.
He doesn't look like a fragile player. It doesn't look, I mean, if he goes over in a tackle the wrong way and the knee goes the wrong way, then obviously, but he doesn't look like the sort of player who will get in too much sort of trouble during the season. He looks like he's as solid as a rock. He's got a good head on his shoulders, and he's got class to burn. So here's hoping that he does have a successful season and the Bulldogs can also improve. I'm sure they will. Well, we've all decided they're not going to be wooden spooners.
Just for clarity, for comparison, and maybe I'll read the next ones out before we start the team. but they finished 16th. They had 3 wins, 21 losses for 8 points total. This is the Dogs.
Yep.
340 points scored, 710 against. When you look at Penrith, who won the comp, 21 wins, 3 losses, so that's flipped on its head. 44 points. They scored 676, and they only allowed 286.
It's almost a mirror image sort of thing, the opposite.
Yeah.
And as we are a betting show, I've got a little bit for them to miss the 8. One for someone to just chuck on an anchor leg of a multi. Miss the 8, $1.42. So that's some juicy odds there for an anchor.
Yep. Right. I think we've covered the Dogs.
Yep.
Let's move up the table one spot. And we get to the Cowboys, who have also had not quite as busy a time in the off-season signing players, but they have picked up a few. Peter Hiku from the Warriors, Jermaine Tanoa-Brown also from the Warriors, Chad Townsend, of course. I guess you would call him their marquee signing for the season from the Shark. What's going
I don't just.
Well, which one's their marquee sign? Or do they not have a marquee signing?
Out of those 3, Peter Hiku.
Yeah,
definitely.
What, really?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
He's a much better player than Townsend.
So they finished 15th last season. They did have a number of injury concerns.
They lost Michael Morgan after 2 rounds.
Yes.
Huge loss.
Tomalolo was out for a number of games during the season, but probably their 2 best players. So
they had
the pump.
7 wins, 17 losses, 16 points, scored 460, let in 748. They averaged 19 points a game, and they conceded on average 31 points a game.
Yeah. Not good if you want to be in the top 8.
No.
So have they improved? Have they improved, Blake? Have they?
Now look, I think this is a team that for our punters out there is going to cause a lot of grief. I think that they're a team that will win this odd game when you're on a 5-6 leg multi and you've got the Cowboys to get beat, and they'll be paying $250, $280, and they'll come out and have one of those games because they got the likes of Tamalolo, Peter Hiku, Scott Drinkwater. I love Scott Drinkwater as a rugby league player. I think he's a hell of a talent. They've got Val Holmes. They've got Fido at the back. Mate, they're stacked. Their squad is just not up to, I think, the rest of the competition. I think the rest of the competition is just so much better than this squad. And on Blake Ashford's predicted ladder, we have them sitting 15th, so a consistent 15th, second last. The majority of the squad's under, I think, about 23, 24. So good news, Toddy Payton's had a lot of experience coaching at the junior levels with young players. So that could be a bonus. They blooded a lot of kids last year because of injury. But like I said, punters, I think it might be one of those teams just to leave alone for a lot of the competition.
Carl, they were the worst defensive team last season. The worst defensive team. And what used to be a fortress for them up there in North Queensland, I don't know, what is it called these days? It used to be Dairy Farmers, then it was 1-800-SMILE or something. Is it just North Queensland Country Stadium or something?
I don't know.
It's a new one. I just always call it Dairy Farmers because they got that stadium now. So
yeah,
new Dairy Farmers.
So when they start losing games there more often than actually winning, alarm bells should be going. Have they got enough? Have they sort of done enough in the off season to suggest to you that they might be able to improve on their 15th position from last season?
I don't think you can state how important Michael Morgan was to that team. He was their franchise player and probably a player they were going to build the team around for the next 5, 6, 7 years. To lose him so early last year just sort of put them into disarray, and you saw that all season. Looking at the losses, if you take Morgan out of it, they've probably recruited. The new recruits probably cover the losses and give you a little bit more. I'm a huge fan of Peter Hiku, and I think he is a huge signing for that team. But I don't know that, like Blake, they haven't done enough for me to see any improvement that has them, 2015, 2017 grand finals.
Let's not forget that Peyton turned around the Warriors with not a lot of sort of, I guess, cattle on the ground. He's sort of in the same position here. I'm happy for Fidel to go back to the 1 jersey. I think that's exactly where he should be. He's got speed to burn. He was wasted when they had him in the centres at times last season. Couldn't understand that. And I think Valentine Holmes on the wing also makes them a better team than when he was at fullback.
Isn't Val Holmes stated he wants to go play centre?
He's been training in the centres.
Has he?
Yeah.
So he'd be partnering up with Hiku.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So who goes out wide?
Well, Kyle Feld would have one wing sewn up, and then it'd be a battle of the other. Tuolangi, Limu, I think, is there.
Yeah. I've got Tuolangi for me.
Yeah, I got Tuolangi too as well on the wing. So it's a pretty, stock standard backline. Like it can cause damage. It's got pace all over it, and then you got class finishes with Hiku and Felt. Yeah.
I think 1 to 13 they could probably go with most of the teams.
Even the halves? So does Townsend start in the halves? Or is he he does?
He's their marquee signing, isn't he?
Well, you just said he wasn't. So now you've got me questioning. Well, is he a starter? Is he an interchange player? So if he starts, who does he start with? Did he start with Dearden? Does he start with?
I think they probably go with Drinkwater, right, Blake?
I hope so. I'll be very upset if Drinkwater doesn't make his way into that 13.
Otherwise, Drinkwater goes to 1. Dearden comes into the halves.
Yep.
But then where do you put Fidel? Yeah.
You waste him on the wing a bit. You want him to have that.
Yeah.
He is exactly the type of player you want to have a bit of a roving commission to just slot in wherever he sees fit. Don't try and structure it too much for him. He plays best when he's able to express himself and express himself and just do what he does. So
I think their best chance would be to actually have a crack at the year. We're going to know a lot at the start because you spoke about the new stadium. It's not really a fortress. Well, they've got majority of their home games at the start of the year. I think the first 4 or 5 rounds, they got a couple there. Because after that, from about round 11 to 17, you've got the Panthers, Storm, Manly, the Dragons, Broncos, Titans. Like it's a tough run in that little period. So they'd want to be up, hopefully in the 8, come maybe round 10, just to give themselves a fighting chance. But I don't think they will. But that's what you want to see from the Cowboys.
I think 4 games max through 10.
Yep.
4 wins.
If they've got, I reckon 3 or 4 wins. I think if they've got 4, there's probably a little bit of self-belief there. Heading into that, as you say, tough stretch, Blake.
Yep.
But, come out the back end of that and they'll be licking their wounds, I think.
So you've got did you say you still had them at 15? Or did you say you've got them at 15 again?
Yeah.
Carl?
I think bottom 4 again.
So you give us an exact number.
Well, he's done the thing on NRL.com. Give me a second. I'll do
anywhere from 16 to 13.
Hang on.
These aren't like I just looked at the squad. What I did, Bully, I looked at the squads. This is barring injury, barring everything. And then I just rated the squads on how I think. I haven't even seen who's playing who. I just think the squads, I've rated them on the squads and where I think they'll finish. So, hey, by our last show before round 1, it could be completely different.
Yeah, how about you give us some homework and in our round 1 preview, we've got to give you a ladder.
Yeah.
Did I not share with you a sheet?
Well, not for this one,
Well, it didn't have a lot of stuff on it, to be fair, but I did share with you something.
Share a lot with me, Paul, but
Yeah, that's another show. Anyway, so Blake, you've got the Cowboys not going up and not going down, staying at number 15 on the table. And you've got them bottom 4.
bottom 4. Where you got them?
They're my wooden spoon favourite.
Ooh,
Oh,
They are
Get
my
on.
wooden spoon favourite.
what can we get them at?
yeah.
See what they are. Well, you guys have a look.
What
Well,
do you think he's going to do with Taumalolo this year?
well, he's going to play him because yeah, but hold on a minute. What's the vaccination state? What's the vaccination state, or what is the sort of the? I guess the NRL. Do you have to be vaccinated to play?
Well, that's what the theory was, because all the players, majority of the players got their double vaccine. You know, they got the passports and everything. But now I think Australia has done away with it. But I don't know if the NRL is doing away with it. It's all up in the air, mate. Because they originally, I think they didn't. Once they had the vaccine, I think they thought they were allowed to roam out in the public like everyone else. But I think it's still the same as last year, but they've had the vaccine. So does he have to get it, even though they're isolating? My guess is as good as yours.
Because he said he's playing. He's got the go to play week 1. Taumalolo.
Wow.
So that either means he's got the vaccine, and he's not saying whether he's got it or not. He's not going to reveal his medical status, so that's fine. But
How'd they go with Djokovic?
we can.
Yeah.
I mean, if the NRL have mandated that players have to be vaccinated, we can take from that. If he's playing in week 1, then he's vaccinated. Because isn't that the reason that Asofa Solomona has moved on?
No, he's
back.
Is he
now.
back?
He's back now.
So
But
they
maybe-
changed the rules.
But then again, I feel sorry for someone like John Asiata, who signed with the Bulldogs and came out openly and said, I don't want to have the vaccine because of my kids and things like that. Something happened to them. I don't know the full story. But he'd come out and quit from the Bulldogs and just made it, and just said, look, I'm not going to have it. So I'm going to do the right thing. I'm going to quit now because I know that, this is what you need to do to play. So then for him, he's given up a couple of 100,000. But if they turn around and let these players play, oh, man, there's some questions to ask there.
Oh, we're getting a wee bit
not
off.
on this podcast.
No,
though.
we're getting a wee bit off course, yeah. But I just found it fascinating that he's definitely playing week 1.
Yep.
And I just thought, well, if there's a mandate, that must mean that he has been vaccinated. But that may not be the case. We'll leave it at that.
Cowboys 550 wooden spoon.
Oh, wow.
Now that interests you, doesn't it?
Third favourite.
Does. That interests me a lot, actually.
Mate, if there's one team that's one injury away from
Oh yeah,
badness,
they're a Chad Townsend game away from badness.
Oh, mate.
hold on a minute, far out.
Did you play with Chad, Blake?
No, I never got the chance to play with Chad.
Okay. I was going to ask you if he's a good guy. I'm sure he's a good guy, but
Oh, yeah, he's not from all. I've said hello to him and that. Good guy. Good guy.
Yeah.
Right. We now move on to team number 14 from last year, the Brisbane Broncos. And now they have picked up some fairly good players. Kurt Capewell, I guess, from the Penrith Panthers, also State of Origin player who slotted into the centres when needed and back into the forward pack. Adam Reynolds, of course, from the Bunnies, big signing for them. Tamari Martin,
Yes.
I know not a big signing, but great to see him back.
it's a huge signing.
Great to see him back.
I actually was doing a coaching down here with some of the Opens men's, and he was there playing for Waikato. And he was trying to get over last November for the preseason, but obviously the borders weren't open. So he finally got over, but he was saying, yeah, he got the call, he got everything clear. So he's been playing some rugby league back here and carving up. So it'd be good to see him back in the game.
Fantastic. So,
Do we want to know how they went last year?
yeah.
So 14th, 7 wins, 7 losses like the Cowboys. Scored 446 points. So that's less than the Cowboys. But they only let in 695 points. They averaged 18 a game. 3 tries, but conceded 28 a game. Top try scorer, Xavier Coates, no longer with the side.
So where are their points going to come from? Well, let's have a look. Look at the back line. But obviously, Adam Reynolds, he's got the number 7 jersey, and he'll be tasked with guiding that team around the park and getting points on the board. He'll also be the goal kicker, so they don't have to worry about, I guess, someone like was it Tessie
New or Jermaine Asako was.
Or Jermaine Asako. Yeah, he was. So they don't have to worry about trying to find slotting another player in to be the kicker, because he'll be the general. He'll be taking the kicks at goal. So how do they form the rest of the backline around Adam Reynolds?
Great question. Now, my backline would be completely different to everyone else's. I think it'll be different to the backline that starts. But I've got big raps on Selwyn Cobbo in the Indigenous All-Stars team. I think body shape, size, power, speed. Kid's got a lot of raw talent, and I think it's going to be a huge year for him. I think their backline. Now, listen, in my ladder, Blake Ashford's predicted ladder, we have the Brisbane Broncos finishing 8th in the top 8. Yep.
Wow.
And I think, for me, Origin isn't a big factor for them anymore. Where back in the day they used to lose 10 or 8 to 10 players. I don't think they'll lose too many this year. Plus, also looking at their draw, I think after round 5 or 6, I think they'll be on top of the ladder. I think to start the season they have the Dogs twice, the Warriors, the Rabbits twice, and the Cowboys. So very soft start to the season. I think they'll be challenging or top of the ladder and then slowly start to drift down as the season goes on. But I have them in there.
That's a kind draw. That is a kind draw, to be fair, for the Broncos. If we're looking at strength of schedule, they may have the easiest draw of the lot.
I don't think it's that easy.
Oh, gee,
Bunnies, Dogs. So there you go. There's maybe 2 wins. Cowboys can get that. Warriors won't get that. Chooks, Panthers, Dogs again around 7.
Yeah, so out of 7, they've got the Dogs again, the Rabbits,
Dogs, Warriors, Cowboys.
Warriors.
Yeah.
So I think they'll be right. And in my opinion, their team this year, with their pack and with their backline, could challenge those games. We'll take a couple off those top 4 teams. Yep. It's just a question for me, like you said, Paul, who's going to be 6? Now, I think I would personally choose Albert Kelly. I think he's more, at the same reason I chose Kyle Flanagan at 7, because Adam Reynolds can direct the game just like he did with the Rabbits, and Cody Walker can come on the back Cody Walker came on the back and did his thing. I think Albert Kelly can do that role for the Broncos. I think he's more creative than Tyson Gamble. So that's who I would go with. I don't know about you fellas.
Well, that's funny, because the only reason that Albert Kelly got a chance last season was because they didn't like Tommy Dearden, and they had a few injuries as well. And he was playing Queensland Cup for the Magpies or something? Yeah. I can't remember which day. He was playing Queensland Cup. Well, comes in and he didn't look the worst.
He was cleaning them up. He
didn't look good. But as you say, it is a battle between him and Gamble. And I just don't know which way Kevy Walters is sort of looking. I'm not sure anyone knows which way Kevy Walters is looking, to be fair. But he's getting his chance here with the sort of cattle they've picked up. Last season, they arguably had the best prop forward in the game, and Payne Haas, who was just a wrecking machine.
I think on the halves, for starters, Adam Reynolds was probably the greatest signing of any club this season, and finally gives them a halfback since Lockie, the first genuinely good half since Lockie. I reckon by the end of the season, Tomato Martin will be in the halves with Reynolds. If he trains well, stays healthy, he was a genuine superstar when he was playing. So, but I would agree with you and have Albert Kelly.
It'd probably be a good
season.
forward.
It'd
It's
be
not the
great
worst
for him.
combination. If
He was a good runner.
Tamari can get back to his best,
Yeah.
that's not the worst combination, to be fair, Reynolds and Martin.
A couple of years out, his body would be freshened and
Yeah.
ready to go.
So the pack, it does look like a big pack too, with Payne Haas, I'm guessing Flegler, maybe the other prop. Or...
He's, I think he's out for the first 3 or 4 weeks of suspension.
Yeah. Well, they did pick up Ryan James, though, which will be a good signing.
Yes.
Back to Queensland. I think that's a great signing.
Oh, the Packers it's got a bit of depth as well.
Yep.
Even the second row, they'll play one of the young guys, will they?
Jordan Ricky.
Yep.
Jordan Ricky. What about TC Robarty?
You got Capewell, who they just signed from the Panthers for the other back.
He'll have one spot, won't he?
Yeah, so I'd say
13.
yeah. Oh yeah, Capewell 13, you reckon? Oh, Carrigan.
Carrigan at 13. I've got.
Yep, same. I've got that. I've got Haas, James, Capewell, Ricky, and Carrigan. So that's and then you just mentioned those names, Paul. That or even like Flegler, TC Rabati as well, who are
that young fella Piakura as well.
Yep,
who,
like all on the bench.
Yeah, it's not the worst. They actually have a wee bit of depth this season. It's just, I guess, the big key for them. How will the halves pairing go? And I guess, I didn't even mention Katoni Staggs.
Yeah,
crikey,
He's the one.
Well, he wanted to move into the halves, didn't he? He was quite keen to move in there, but they've got him locked down for centre. And to be fair, he was very, very good at centre for the few games that he did actually get to play last season. They looked a different team when he was on the field.
They did, and you mentioned about the halves, how hard it would be. As a half, it's your dream, isn't it? Oh, nothing's going. Here you go, Katoni. Have the ball, have a run. It's not too hard of a job, is it? Get paid a couple $100,000.
There you go.
Yeah.
Do you guys know how many meters Payne Haas averaged a game last year?
Oh,
I'm thinking 130, 140.
Yeah, I'm gonna go higher. I'm gonna go I'm gonna go 165.
168
Woo-hoo-hoo.
a game.
Crikey. You are a forward now, aren't you? Yeah. You just read it so well.
He's a forward in the back's body. That's what he thinks he can make that many meters.
So where'd you have the Broncos finishing this season?
8th.
You said 8.
Yep.
8th.
8th to 12th.
Another question.
I'll have a full ladder for you next week. Eh?
Okay.
I have a full ladder for you next week. Get off my back.
No, that's fine. That's all right. It's all right.
Jesus. Where have you got them? So you don't know either.
No, I was going to use your thing and go like, anywhere from here to here. I've got them actually jotted down. I haven't got them 8th, to be fair. That's sort of making me think, gee, have I underestimated the Broncos? I've got them 11th.
11th.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Broncos at 11. So not a lot of movement. Not a lot of movement, but improvement.
Top eight as well. Sorry, $2.90. So if you're a fan of the top 8 of the Brisbane Broncos, as I am, $2.90, nice little price.
So that's the Broncos covered for this upcoming season.
Just quickly,
Yeah.
one name we haven't mentioned, and he's an Origin player, and he might not even make the team. Brinko Lee.
Oh, shit, come on. Bellingham.
I didn't say he's a good Origin player.
I didn't know he was there, to be honest.
There you go.
But hey, if
There's experience.
that adds more depth if there's an injury. So
That's the thing, yes.
Bulletproof the 8.
Tough scenes if you make Origin, you can't make the starting lineup of your own club team.
I think tough scenes for the Maroons if you have to pick a player like Brinko Lee when he basically can't make a starting.
He was at the Warriors for a while, eh?
Well, he
No.
was at the Storm.
Yeah, no, I don't think
Did he start at the Titans?
he was at the Raiders, then went to the Titans.
I feel like Brinko Lee went to the Warriors.
Yeah.
I'll do some digging. You carry on.
Alrighty. We'll go to a final team that we'll be looking at for this episode. It's a team very, very close to one of the panelists here and one former panelist. Of course, it's the Tigers. The Tigers, who finished 13th. Unlucky for some, 13th last season. You got some stats on them last season?
Finished 13th, 8 wins, 16 losses, 18 points. They scored 500. They let in 714. They averaged 20 points a game and allowed 29 points a game. So we're getting closer to zero.
Or evens.
Evens, I should say. Yeah. Top point scorer, Adam Dewey, 174 points. Top try scorer, David Nofaluma with 13.
Right. I mean, do me and you need to say anything in regards to, I mean, do we just leave this next part for Blake? I don't think we will, but
let him have his time.
We want an in-depth look at the Tigers and how they'll go this season. Isn't Dewey
He's out
injured
for the first
for
4 months or a few months or something?
Oh.
I already know where Blake thinks the Tigers are going to finish. So this strap in, this could be wild.
Is this,
no.
Are we talking about 2023? Because that'll be a great year for the Tigers, 2020. Yeah, it's going to be a great year. The Sheens effect, 2023. Hashtag. Yeah, so Blake Ashford's predicted ladder. We've got the mighty West Tigers finishing 16th, getting that wooden spoon. You can get $3.50 at the tab, which is very profitable. So, you know, this it just hurts saying that. It does. Because I want them to go so good, and I think next year is going to be awesome. But this year, I spoke about the Cowboys being outclassed, and I just think they're just outclassed in most games. I think we'll see a lot better from players like Luke Brooks and the likes. I mean, Peachy's a great pickup. I think Adam Dewey, when he comes back, will be good. Still unsure about Hastings, but, you know, you still got players like Dane Laurie and that who were injured who are going to come back. So there's some class in the side. I just think when they play these better sides that is just not going to match up. I was looking at the draw, and they do get a bit of happiness around Origin time. I think they could be the Eels when the Eels have no Origin players, or it could be the Panthers. And then after Origin, they play the Eels or the Panthers. So one of those two teams they'll verse with no Origin players and the
players
other side,
backing up.
Yeah, players backing up. So look, they play the Sharks, Knights, Dogs, Dragons, Bunnies, and Cowboys twice, and I think they'll sneak a couple of wins there against those sides. They could even go 1 win, 1 loss against those teams. Sorry. So there's not much to say about the Tigers. I think it's going to be a very long year. The biggest question for me is, does Sheensy take over the reins?
Ooh.
How long does Madge have? I know Fisky would have a lot of insight if he was here. But yeah, he's probably more on the ground there than myself. I haven't spoke to anyone, but it's just a matter of time, I think, before Sheensy
takes the reins completely.
Yeah.
Wow,
hot scoop on the advantage line.
Yeah,
this is what he's here for.
Hey, that's just an opinion. I like Madge as a coach, as a bloke. I just don't know how long he's going to get, and you know, seeing two big head coaches trying to work together, I don't think it's worked before. So maybe it could work. I don't know, but with them getting the wooden spoon, as I don't think it's going to be a good year.
Is that why it will work at the Bulldogs, because there's only one big head out of Gus and Trent Barrett? Is that why it will work there? But it won't work at the Tigers?
I was just going to say, that's as much as an opinion as Gus Gould saying Kyle Flanagan is our halfback.
So you obviously don't hold very high hopes for your Tigers this season.
No, I don't, which is promising, because every time they win, I'll be happy and excited. So hopefully a lot of Friday night wins so I can have an enjoyable weekend. So, you know, I've got them finishing wooden spoon, so anything other than that's a success for me.
Yeah, in that bottom 4 bracket, I realise I've used 3.
I've
used 3 of my 4 in that bottom 4 bracket already. I'm really interested with the Tigers to see the makeup of their forward pack for game 1. they've got a hell of a back row there in Ghana, Leilua, and Twal, although Twal's probably a prop rather than a 13. You've got to have Peachy in there somewhere. Do you play Peachy in the centres? When Dewey comes back, where does he play? You've got Brooks and Hastings. Dewey was their best player by a country mile last year, and he played 6 for most of the year.
Where does Hastings slot in? Is he in the halves for the first part of the season while Dewey's out, or where do you see him?
He's signed as half, surely.
Yeah, I agree, Carl. I think him and Brooks would be the starting halves. I don't know who else is coming up, to be honest, who would challenge that. And I think they've got Oliver Gildart from England.
Yep.
Good signing, good player from over there. So, look, their teams with names is good. I just don't know the depth they'll have. I think Tamo and Utakamanu, Stefano, who went on leaps and bounds last year, I think re-signed. That's a big signing. I think he even got in the Blues extended squad last year at some time, one of those games. So, man, he had a big year. And like you said, Carl, Ghana, Leilua in the back row. And I think Peachy will play lock. I think they'll use Twal as another front row to come off the bench, even though Twal can play 80 minutes. I think Dewey should play 6, but I don't think he will. I think he'll play centre. But, yeah, I suppose it depends where they need him to go when he comes back, because we did use that word utility to start the show. And now Adam Dewey can play in the forwards, he can play in the backs, he can play in the halves. So that man there can fix a lot of your problems. So I'd be putting him wherever he wants to play, actually, when he comes back.
I guess a big part of it will be how's the team performed in those games where he'll be out to start the season, how the team has gone, and whether they now if they're going like you think they're going to be going, then he's probably going to get the choice of, well, I'd like to play here when he comes back because things aren't going too well. However, if they've picked up a few wins and the team's sort of chugging along nicely, it may be a case of, well, the halves combination has sorted itself out. The Brooks and Hastings are sort of they've combined well. They've got a bit of chemistry. We're probably going to slot you into the centres, sort of thing.
Yeah. I think that's exactly how it's going to go. But because even Tommy Talau, who would be another centre option for them, did his ACL at the back end of the year, so he's still out. So I don't know how deep they go there.
Sean, another one, Sean Bloor the other day did his ACL. That's a big loss.
Oh, man, like they can't. We're talking about teams who can't afford injuries. This team can't afford nothing.
No, they already lack depth big time.
Exactly. I think their best chance, I've done this a couple of the teams, I think round 10 to 16, they have the Cowboys, the Dogs twice, the Warriors, and they got a bye, which is questionable. So there's the 10 to 16.
I won't lose that week, I'll give you the tip.
10 to 16 will be hopefully the resurgent of the mighty Tigers.
I think just looking at the draw, the first 10 rounds, I've got them maybe 2 or 3 wins, but I wouldn't be surprised if they had 5.
Bit of sunshine.
So I mean, it could be a hot start to the season, but like you say, the depth, an injury or 2 away from disaster.
So you've got them. Did you say 13, 16?
Yes, in that bottom 4.
And you've got wooden spoon.
Yeah, I do. But see, and I said this about the Cowboys, about punters. Don't you see the Tigers as one of those teams that, I mentioned those teams who they play twice, they'll jag one of those wins and they'll come out and beat a Dragons or a Bunnies. They almost beat the Bunnies last year. We see what the Bunnies did. They're going to be one of those teams that'll be $4 or $5 in a game. We see those $1.10, and then the Tigers will come in and probably win. So
they'll ruin your multi. The multi run.
Lucky we I won't say that. Never mind. Let's jump the gun there a little bit.
I've got them finishing 13 or 14, so I'll make my mind. I'll have a full table for you next week.
Yeah.
Are we going next week or before round 1?
What do we do? We're going the next 4 teams next week.
He's saying should we have a full ladder next week or before round one? Once we do all the analysis.
No, just the 4 teams where you think they'll finish. The next 4 teams next week.
Oh, sweet! I can keep my bracket then. I have to remember where I've bracketed these teams.
Yeah.
Don't want to run out of numbers.
Got to talk about next week. Never mind. Well, we've covered teams 16 to 13. And you've pretty much filled out 16 to 13 for this season.
I got one spot left.
One spot left.
I think I
for
know
the Warriors.
No. I think I know where it's going.
Okay. I guess we should mention the All-Stars game because it looks like a great matchup. Blake, you want to? I don't know. You heard any sort of whispers about how things are going to be played? Well, there are a number of Warriors involved.
Yeah,
there's a Mitchell involved.
Yes, there is. It's you always find those. Like, I think Jermaine Tenor-Brown played last year or the year before without playing NRL games. So it's always good to see these kids get a go. And I think Latrell Mitchell's brothers came out and has been in the media the last week that he's got his second chance in the NRL, which is good. But for me, this should be the storyline for the game. Now, there's been 3 games played. Indigenous All-Stars are 1-1. The Māori All-Stars are 1-1. And last year was a draw. So this is to see who takes the lead in the head-to-head. I think it's going to be a cracking game. You always don't know who's going to win because we don't know who's 1 to 13 or how they're going to play or has the club said no. But I have had a little dabble on the Indigenous -6.5 at $1.87. So, there's not too many bets floating around at the moment, but I'll be keen viewing that on the weekend.
Carl?
I'm just looking at the teams. They're hell of both teams. From what I haven't looked into this game too much as of yet, but from what I've heard, names dropping out left, right, and centre, people not being able to play. But looking at these lineups, it's going to be a hell of a game. I don't know. What do you say? 6.5 for the line.
Yep. And I don't know if it'll change now with Joey Manu dropping out today and how they name the teams.
From memory, I think it was 6.5 last year too. Maybe even 8.5.
Yep.
And yeah, the Māori came out and obviously I think, were the Māori up early last year and then
I think so.
Lost it late, or the Indigenous All-Stars came back late. I think this is going to be a hell of a game. I talked to the bookies earlier. Hopefully, we will have same-game multi on this available.
Oh.
That'll be late in the piece if it is, but fingers crossed. I hope to see. I think last year was quite a low-scoring affair, wasn't it?
It was 10-all last year.
Yeah. I'd like to see some open running rugby league football. That would be cool to see. But it's a hell of a game to get the season started and the preseason started.
I just had a look. I know last year was a 10-all draw, but the 2 matches before that between the Māori All-Stars and the Indigenous All-Stars with 16-30 and 34-14. That's a game total of 48 and 48 and 46. So if we do get a game total for this game, I'm very, very keen to get on the 40 to 50 bracket.
So as a former bookie, what are you setting the line at? The total?
I think it's probably going to be around 42, 41, something like that.
42. Yep. I can jump on you. There you go. Same game multi. Indigenous -6.5, over 42.5. If we get that.
With Mitchell to score a try.
Oh, that'd be a story.
Righty-ho. I think that's about it for the first episode.
Yeah. Dust the cobwebs off. Hopefully not too shabby.
Well, no one pulled a hammy, so we're all good. We'll all be back. Actually, we might not all be back next week. We'll better have a chat about that. I've got to.
Sorry, Blake, you're gone.
I was just happy I got the recall.
I got a golf trip next week.
So
So
it might be a two-man show.
I don't know.
Let's see if we can get a guest.
I'll give you my brackets anyway. But
we
yeah,
get,
you should be able to get a guest.
Scotty Sattler back.
Oh, how good! I mean, he's not quite as good as me, but how good?
Not as good looking either.
Let's see, I'll do some work in the background, see if we can get someone.
Beautiful. So that's it for this week, but we will be back next week with episode 2 of our season preview 2022, where we will preview the teams that finished 12, 11, 10, and 9 last season. And I think one of those teams
is the Warriors.
is followed very fondly by one of us here. Thanks to Blake for joining in from Papamoa once again.
Thanks, lads.
Thanks to Al for joining in here at TAB headquarters.
Thank you, Paul.
And thanks for everyone for listening. We'll be back again with everything you need to know about the NRL on the Advantage Line 2022.